All right, what's going on? You listen to King Cam and Ujumbe podcast and Ujumbe means message, and I am excited. I'm excited about this. Yeah, let's get into it. Let's go. Okay, the native name of Egypt was Kim or Kemet, the Black Land. The name came not from the color of the soil as the hue of the inhabitants. Yes, this is part two. Um, let's get in on this discussion. Chapter 5, Prehistoric Kemet. I changed it. All right, Prehistoric Kemet, the Land of Wonders, Part 2. Yes, in Chapter 5 it says Prehistoric Egypt, but I'm gonna tell you why. We're gonna get into this conversation. I'm very excited. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And of course, it's an introduction to African history geared just for you, designed to foster a life of learning. And it will be every week or so, give or take. And we're going to go over a few readings on the continent. Are there any other civilizations in Africa outside of Kemet? Yes, there are. The last year or so, we've had this discussion. We had this conversation. We talked about West Africa. We talked about the Bilal Sudan. We talked about the people of Mali and Songhai. Check it out, all right? But we're talking about ancient Kush or Ethiopia. A lot of people try to separate them over the last few weeks. A lot of people try to separate them as if they were a state. They have not really been separated up until like the last couple of centuries. All right. So as long as you was going up and down the Nile, you was one culture. You was united. All right. We're in the book. Okay, the wonderful Ethiopians of the ancient Cushite Empire. The link is in the description. As an Amazon affiliate, I earn from qualifying purchases. Check it out. All right. Now, the essential questions are still the essential questions today. Who were the influences of ancient Egypt and how ancient is Kemet? That we're gonna get into that today. We're gonna talk about that today. I had to lean into the content a little bit more. Normally I go from chapter to chapter, but there were some things I missed last time in the book, and there's some additional bonuses. So you need to stick around for the additional bonuses. Man, I'm on that kind of timing today. I'm on something else today. All right, let's go. Okay, of course, the native name of Egypt was Kemet or Kemet, the Black Land. The name did not come from such color of the soil as people would like to say, but as the hue of the inhabitants. A lot of people would like to say Kemet was representative of the actual land. Not so much. Let's be real about it. All right, now, the early population of Thebes or Waset was Nubian, okay? It was Nubian. It was not people that came from Greece, Rome, Mesopotamia, or none of that. Thebes, Egypt was and still, in some parts still are, shout out to the people of Aswan, or Nubian. They're from the south, all right? Now, prehistoric Egypt, the history of 8,000 years is deposited in our sacred books. That's what they said. That's what the Kariheb or the priests told the Greeks. But we can ascend to much higher antiquity and tell you that our fathers have done what our fathers have done for 9,000 years, and this is a fact. 9,000 years, beyond 9,000, written record. But the sad part is a lot of that information is either archived somewhere or lost in the sand. All right, so it's going to take us to get into that information, get into the knowledge. Don't just be surface with it, but let's dig deeper, right? Let's go. I have to spin the block. I have to go turn this corner again. Osiris, we got to talk about him, okay? Yeah, we know about the mythology of Osiris, but did you know he was a real person? I told you, kings become legends, legends become legendary, right? Prehistoric Egypt, the Ethiopians say that the Egyptians are a colony drawn out of them by Osiris. He was a real person. He was a real king. But where did he come from? Where did he come from? Okay, it's believed that he came from the Anu or Anuak people of southern Nubia. There it is. He was a real person. He was a real individual. Okay, And there are some stories, and be it passed down or written, that he reigned before Kemet became an empire. He came from the Anuak people. And as you notice, these people weren't light-skinned. All right? Let's not play these games. Let's not play, I get a lot of comments saying that the people of Egypt were a different hue. Maybe so now. But the original people of Kemet were from the south. And remember, the kings and queens had a southern origin. That's for free. All right, the Anu people, okay? They came before Egypt. The Hetu temples. They believed in Seth. Okay, a lot of them. Anet Anu are the cities of the Anu people. Ta-Neter or Terra-Neter, devoted to one of God. Or we mentioned the land of Punt being Ta-Neter. Okay, the land of God, as Queen Hatshepsut mentioned. So the Anu people were from Ethiopia, were from the south. All right. Now, King Jer, D-J-E-R, King Jer. Okay, his father was Menes or Ha-Aha. Okay, he's wearing the Hajet, the crowns. Okay, there's images of him wearing the crown of the south and crown of the north, representing that he is the king of the north and south. This is right in the early the old kingdom. The third, he's the third king of Kemet. Okay, so but notice that the culture is already intact. This thing was not established later on. You see Heru there, you see Anupu there, you see all of these images there. So that lets you know that the culture was already established thousands of years before Egypt became an empire or even a state. Right? So he was recognized as the Insukbiti or king or pharaoh of Egypt on the Abydos Kings list, and the Turin Papyrus. The Kings list, for my scholars in the back, the Kings list is a ledger of all the recognized kings of Egypt. And I'm gonna tell you this, there are some foreigners that are not on that list. All right? There are some people that say that there was Insukbiti, or they say that there was Pharaoh, but the priest or the Kari Heb did not put their names on the list. Why? Because they did not come from there, or they didn't go through that process to be king or queen of Egypt. Let that sink in. So yes, he, the third pharaoh, third king of Egypt, recognized on the king's list, right? Now some believe, the reason why I'm putting him and Osiris together, some believe that his tomb is the location of Osiris. It's located in Abydos. Okay? Don't know if it's factual or not, but it's still good information. Okay? Because we already know, according to the Turin Papyrus and many others, that Osiris was a real person. So he has to be laid to rest somewhere. And chances are it is located, people believe it's located in Abydos. You know, of course, Seti the First, he established his temple on top of that, but chances are there are other chambers under there that go further back before the New Kingdom. All right? So yeah, King Jer, you know, his father was the King Menes or Hor-Aha. Okay? Now, pre-dynastic Egypt had no infancy because its first colonists had been civilized in Ethiopia. Remember that picture. The culture was already established. The norms were already established. They were just moving forward or passing down the information that was handed to them. Okay, Egypt did not begin with Menes. I'm just letting you know, just reminding you. It didn't start with him. This was an ancient culture going back 9,000 some odd years. Okay, one of the temple records called Menes a Theban or Nubian, right? These were settled from Meroe. This is a review. he had been a priest of Upper Egypt. All right. So remember, being a priest, you have to be priest and king. So you had to go through that process. A lot of people would believe that the pharaohs were ignorant or stupid. No, the pharaohs were the kings of the north and south, so they had to have that knowledge. Okay, let's go further. Now, the rulers are the priest kings, and at death were deified. King Menes was no exception. Had to get a little water. But remember Osiris, I told you about Osiris. King became legend, legend became legendary. This was over 10,000 years of information. So it just it compounded into the story that we know. If you want to know the story of King Osiris, check him out. There's other people that amplify that, but we don't have a lot of time. So check it out. Now, prehistoric Egypt. The Sphinx of Heru and Akhet and the pyramids are symbols of some form of the old race. I pitched it last week. I gotta lean into it today. Okay, buckle up. The Egyptians in latter days affirmed that their civilization came from Ta-Neter or Punt, right? But now, according to sources, scientific sources, the Sphinx or Heru and Akhet is older than the pyramids. Okay, it's about 10,500 years old. Now, I know recently they did some research and they did some excavations by the pyramids. They found some kind of building. I'm going to tell you this, according to the people of Kemet, there's a book out there about that. I think it's called Ancient Records of Egypt or something like that. But in that book, it identifies that building as the Temple of Isis. All right. The people of Kemet already told us what this building is. There's a lot of people that are just not finding it, but this location, these buildings are older than what they are they're giving us credit for. 10,500 years old. The priest already told the Greeks that at that time it was 9,000. All right. So if we, of course, 1,000 years past, now is going back 10,500 years. So the Sphinx is older. All right, let's get into it. Now, Heru and Akhet, why was it built? All the temples, let's get into it. Let's have this conversation. Okay, I'm on the kind of time. I got time. Okay, the Heru and Akhet, the Sphinx, was built during the constellation of Leo when it was in its prime. Okay, when it was the primary constellation being seen. Okay, so that lets you know if they built this temple or this building 10,500 years, they have to observe these stars and the movement of these stars well longer before that. Let that sink in. Now, almost every building, every temple, monument built in Kemet and Nubia was lined up with a major constellation. Okay, they were in line with a major group of stars or a major constellation. Okay, for those who are watching, you see the Sphinx is lined up with Leo. There's the Nile River, and then we have Orion's belt, which is lined with the pyramids. These people were not crazy, and these people were very intelligent, and these people look just like us. All right, let's go. A little bit more about that. Dealing with the Heru and Akhet, lined up with the Sphinx. There are chambers in the Sphinx, up under the Sphinx, and to my understanding, it's still there, but it's not open to the public, and it's not for everybody. Matter of fact, the people that say it's not for everybody, that own the museums out there, matter of fact, according to the people from the South, it's not even for them either. All right, but there was initiations being had. There was knowledge being passed down in and around these buildings. Okay, we have the Sphinx here. We even have Akhet in the form of the Sphinx, and of course we have the pyramids lined up with Orion. It was not just mythology; it was all science to them. And we, as a people, had to get back into understanding science, understanding mathematics. Yes, I'm a history teacher, but I love and respect my math teachers and my science teachers, because this science is a way to move us forward as a culture and a people. Okay, so yeah, the Akhet was a building built in line with the constellation of Leo, and there were chambers in and around it. Okay, for my brothers, there was chambers of reflection. There were places where the Akhet would go to dispel this knowledge, and it would be shared with their apprentices, and the apprentices would eventually become masters. But remember, the king had to go through this process. He had to be shown that he was prepared to be king. It wasn't just, my father was king. They're going to be like, so what? Are you prepared? Are you truly prepared to be king of two lands? This is where they learned it. Not only there, but of course in Waset. All right. Now, prehistoric Egypt, they founded the powerful priest case. The priesthood included judges, physicians, astrologers, architects. These priests weren't just in religion. They were scientists. They were our physicists. They were into all the sacred science, all the liberal arts and sciences. They were the teachers. They weren't just there on one day of the week and then disappeared. No, they was in and around the community. All right. Yeah, I had to touch on that. When I saw it, I had to do it. Okay, I had to tell us that the Sphinx and the pyramids, all these things, and the kings came from the south. This knowledge came from the deep south. There are more pyramids in Nubia than there are in Egypt. Okay, let's go. All right, where did I get some of this information from? The Message of the Sphinx, very good book by Graham Hancock and Robert Bouval. I'll put the link in the description on that. That's a real good book, very solid, very scientific. All right, but I had to highlight a few things that we kind of glossed over last week. But now, what's next? We will get into chapter 6. We gotta move on. For more on ancient Kush talk, check out Sister Danita Smith. Shout out to her, Yaya Shabaka, and AE Learning, and there's so many others. Tell them that King Cam sent you. But yeah, it's a thing, and I really appreciate y'all. All right, more into it. The sacred science. If you want to get into it, if you want to get into the symbolism of it, I'm gonna try to deal with it. But the Sacred Science is a good book, really good book, really good book. And Pre-Colonial Black Africa by Cheke Joe is good, and Egyptian Miracle, that's another good book. And of course, the Message of the Sphinx, right? So get into it. We can't just hand this information to you. You guys got to go and read this. Okay, a lot of people that call themselves trying to prove or disprove some of the information that I put out there, most of them haven't read anything. How can you prove or disprove anything if you haven't studied? You haven't. Okay, but yeah, we are going to get more into it. I know some of the fam has been asking other questions in the comments. We are going to address those questions, and hopefully when we go live, I will deal with that. But I had to highlight some things, and shout out to the fam, and I will talk to you guys later. All right, peace.